Patina's been running for a year now, and you may ask, how well is it doing with all the aftermarket parts I put on it? Well, let's check it out. No, so instead of running on 8 cylinders, it's running on 1 dummy. Jump in this thing and see what it'll do.
Ready to rock this, bro?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell, I'm not even dummy powered anymore. He quit. I didn't even get 1 mile out of him. Jeez, man, you would think with this aftermarket, with all the aftermarket parts in this world now, you would think the stuff would last. But Patina's been rode hard, hung wet, and it has got 8,000 miles on it now. And I've got a list of everything that has failed on this car for the aftermarket world. I had to make a list because I can't keep it all up here. That's why I'm not an actor. I can't remember anything. But I was able to remember the stuff that failed off the top of my head, which took like 10 minutes to think of because I'm slow. But right off the bat, the EFI gas tank from Tank Sync, which the fuel pump failed, which I know Tank Sync doesn't make the fuel pump. I'm just bringing it up that the electric fuel pump didn't even work in the first mile. Put it in, it turned on, it ran for 30 seconds and quit. So had to put a fuel pump in it, not even after the first mile. Okay, then after that, I got the car running and driving. I'm enjoying it a little bit. And I went and romped on it. And the oil filter adapter, which it's not on here right now, but there is a screw-on adapter on the oil pump. And that is for the remote oil filter, or for the oil cooler I have, and for the remote oil filter adapter, or the remote oil filter. So I think it was a, can't remember the name of it, but I'm just going to tell you what to look for. So it was an aluminum adapter, but it had thread inserts, and that thread insert was held on by a clip. Well, the aluminum behind the clip that had those that held those steel inserts in cracked, and when I romped on it, it blew that oil filter adapter off, and oil went everywhere. And it did it while I was doing a burnout, leaving a stoplight. So I look in the rearview mirror, I see smoke, and I'm like, hell yeah. And then I'm still seeing smoke, and I'm like, wow, that was a good one. And I'm still seeing smoke, and it's like, huh, wow, that's a lot of smoke. So then I see the oil pressure is 0. So quickly pulled over, found out, yeah. So that blew off, and that could have killed the motor, but it obviously made such a smoke screen, it was pretty easy to pick off. So that, and my oil, so I have a CNR radiator. It's in the backyard somewhere. Let's go in the shade. So I have a CNR radiator. That lasted about 4 months until the core itself started leaking in the sides of the tank. So what do? You know, my broke self, I put stop leak in it, but the stop leak actually clogged the radiator and made it, and actually it stopped the leak, but it clogged the radiator. So put some CNR in it, and that fixed that issue. It cleaned the radiator back up, but I shouldn't be having to put stop leak in it with a brand new CNR high-dollar radiator. All right, what else we got on this list here? This is the one that kind of pissed me off a lot. So I'm building myself a pro touring car. I need some good pro touring brakes, right? So I buy all Wheelwood stuff. I got myself the Wheelwood front brake kit, which the 12.19 rotors, and with the Dynalite calipers, and I went ahead and put the Wheelwood e-brake setup in the back, and it sucks. It's terrible. So the e-brake setup, when adjusted correctly, it barely works forward, but it works really good in reverse. And then when you you have to crank on them pads, crank on them. Okay, now the e-brake works good going in forward and good in reverse. Well, then it just wears the freaking pads out. And so that is garbage. I'm actually going to rip that off, and since I have a hydraulic handbrake, I'm actually just going to put a shutoff valve in line with the hydraulic handbrake, so that way pull the lever, hit the valve, boom, I got locked rear brakes. And the fronts. So let me get on topic about the fronts here. Right here is the Willwood kit that you buy. Actually, this is not even the kit. These are upgraded 12.19 rotors from the original kit. So these are the better rotors, and I have the more aggressive brake pads in it. These are the BP or DP20s, which is a more aggressive pad. Well, it sucks. So I snuck patina, because at first it squealed and made noise and the brakes just sucked. Wait, am I gonna be in the light or out of the light? I'm gonna be out of the light. And so wanting to go road racing with this thing, I'm like, yeah, okay, I need to fix this issue. So I go ahead and I upgrade to the GT rotors and the pads, which the whole thing ended up costing me, I think it was like $400 or $350 or somewhere around there, to upgrade the brake kit that was already supposed to be an upgrade. All right, so I get that done and I put the 600-degree brake fluid in it, and I sneak on to the circle track. So I'm gonna go take me some laps. I get about 6 or 7 laps on this thing, and I'm cooking. I'm running pretty good. Suck. I mean, after a couple, I couldn't even really slow the thing down that well. I was having to lift early, and even then, I mean, the brakes just got hot and the car just washed up the track, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. So after having that issue, I'm like, all right, you know what, I just need to go to something that freaking works. And what I know works is the brakes that I had on my old NASCAR, my old super late model NASCAR that I raced here at the circle track. And this shit works. This would stop a 3,100 pound race car for 100 laps around that bull ring. So this had the brake pads on this. Look, well, let me just show you a comparison here. Look at this. I don't care about any of this crap because it sucks. But look at the comparison right there. Actually, let me set them side by side. Look at that. You see the difference right there? Oh yeah. I don't even have to tell you which one is most betters. So this is the street car stuff that they sell you that's supposed to stop, you know, a 3,500, 4,000 pound street car. This is what's supposed to stop a, you know, 3,000 pound to 3,500 pound race car. Why is the street car shit smaller than the race car shit? Well, someone didn't do the math right, because I can tell you that those street car brakes, they suck. The original drum brakes that come on these cars, the 10-inch ones, those stop better than this kit right here. All right, so, and then the rotors. So, going road racing, you're gonna heat these rotors up. So, these GT rotors, yeah, they are it's a stronger metal. This is good metal here. And there's probably nothing wrong with these rotors. I think it's just actually, you know what, there is something wrong with these rotors because they're too damn skinny. Look at that. How much airflow are you gonna get through that? Look at the comparison here. Yep. See, we got more betters, shitty betters. Yep. I can get probably twice the airflow flowing through these rotors. That's gonna cool these bitches down. So this is most gooders right here. All right. Enough with my brake rant. I'm over that part now. Got to fix it with race car stuff. So I actually made the brackets so I can put that race car stuff onto here. Luckily, the street car hub kit that comes with the hub that comes with the street car kit had the same bolt pattern as my old race car rotors. So it made it a pretty simple swap. All I had to do was just make a bracket to hold the caliper. All right. Oh, actually, I'm not done with the brakes, because in order to run those Willwood rear brakes, this is a biggie, so pay attention on this one. In order to run these Willwood rear brakes that you got here, you have to switch over to the shitty ball bearing axle bearings. So It's a single row of tiny ball bearings that's around the axle that fits inside your axle housing. The original bearings is a tapered bearing, so it's a flat roller bearing. Well, that's actually, it still has a little taper to it, but wow, the shade made it much darker, didn't it? And well, the tapered bearings can handle much more load. Damn flies. I already took a shower, so I know it's not me. So, where was I at? Oh yeah, ball bearings versus taper. So the taper can handle a much better load, but they advertise you have to run the ball bearings in order to run those Wilwood rear brakes. And so, you know, I did that. You know, I'm thinking, hey, Wilwood's got the head on their shoulders. They know what they're talking about. So I got that thing all fixed up. I put the ball bearings in there, and I got the Wilwood rear brakes on it, and I auto-crossed it. I got a couple thousand miles on it. Everything's honky-dory besides the stuff I already mentioned. And all of a sudden, I start hearing like a growling noise as I'm driving down the road. Actually, on my way back from filming the first episode with Roadkill, the Wreck Runner. Yep, on the way back, it's like, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Well, come to find out, the ball bearings failed. So all those pro touring guys that say they run them ball bearings and they have no problems with them, they must just drive them off their trailer and do 1 or 2 laps and put it back on the trailer, because them bitches don't work. And I know that because I failed multiple ones, not just on this car, but those ball bearings that are on the General E that I've got, okay, those failed in the middle of the country. Luckily, met a really cool guy. He helped me fix it. So I fixed that issue. So, but both ball bearing setups in 2 different cars failed. So what I had to do was I modified the Wilwood rear brakes. So that's my e-brake. That's my Wilwood rear brake. I modified the backing plate, and actually Brick at Dan's Driveline helped me do this. He had to do some machine work to it, but I modified the original Wilwood kit so that way it would work with the taper bearings. So now Patina has taper bearings in it with the Wilwood kit. So one issue fixed. All right, let me get my list back. What did I do with it? Oh, here it is. I know this is kind of a boring video, but this is more or less just to show you guys what works and what doesn't. All right, so we got the axle bearings. So when I was editing this video, I noticed that some of the footage had gotten cut off. The part where I was talking about the alternators. And I had tried 3 different types of alternators on Patina just to try and get it to where I can daily drive it with the fuel injection, with the electric fans, with the AC, and with the additional coolers that I had under the hood. I had a fan on the oil cooler, and I had a fan on my additional mini radiator that was also in the other fender. So yeah, there's coolers in each fender too. You don't want to compound coolers in front of coolers. So what I did is I stuck 1 cooler in one fender and 1 cooler in another fender, and then I made ductwork, or not ductwork, but I made tin work, so that way the air flowing through the grill also flowed through the fender to get to the cooler. Anyways, that's a separate thing. Well, get off the truck. So this is one of the alternators that used to be on Patina. Yep, it's not in the driveway no more. Now what's in the driveway is the race car, because I got to get that ready next day. But so this was a PowerMaster alternator. It doesn't quite work when you have all that amperage draw. And what they advertise is that it makes 160, 180, whichever one you buy, okay, they do make that voltage or amperage, but they don't make it where you need it. So for a street car, you need all that voltage and amperage down low, sitting at traffic lights, low speed cruising, daily driving shit. They don't work. And I already had the AC pulleys on it, so it would overdrive the alternator and the fan, and all, or not the fan, but it would overdrive the alternator with a bigger, lower crank pulley. Yeah, didn't work. So then what I did is I was actually at a car show. Now it would make the voltage I needed. Wait, dang it, screen. There we go. I can see myself again. I'm having to move around a lot. Now the PowerMasters and everything, I had tried PowerMaster and Tough Stuff, and they would make the voltage that you needed, but they wouldn't make it where you
wanted it. So the only time I saw decent voltage, and I'm only talking like 13.5, was on the highway. And I drove it to Spring Fling, and there was a guy there that had a charger with an alternator on it. It was a billet one. I'm like, wow, that's pretty fancy looking. He's like, yeah, but I needed it because all the amperage draw on my car, this is the only one that would work. And so I tried it, and I can tell you, it does work. Oh yeah, this is the part where we go back in time 24 hours.
Yep, so that guy right there actually fixed several issues that I had. You know, at idle, it would kind of creep up in temperature and the AC would kind of get a little warm. A lot of that was because those alternators that were there before, they didn't make the voltage I needed down low, so the fans would spin slower, everything just kind of worked slower. But as soon as I bolted this guy on there, that fixed that. This thing here would make it made like 14.5 volts at idle with everything on. So that's a good thing. Of the fail video, that's a good thing. Crap, now what do I do with my list? All right, so now we're kind of on to why there ain't no motor in it. So let's see, how can I make this quick? All right. The lifters that were in this had a Howard cams. It had a Howard cam and lifter set up in it. Even when I first fired this thing, the lifters that were in this motor, they clattered so freaking bad. I tried the plunger at the bottom, middle, top. It didn't make a difference. Those lifters just made so much freaking noise. So then I'm like, all right, this thing's just got crappy, shitty lifters in it. These Howard lifters are probably just made in China garbage. So I went and ordered these guys right here. These are a set of Morel lifters. They are $1,200 for a set of hydraulic lifters. But, you know, those bitches ain't gonna make any noise, and I actually gain more RPM power with them. Those are a high tolerance, or they're a tight tolerance, just an overall better hydraulic lifter. And they ain't made in China either. So I'm like, all right, I finally, this arm's getting tired. Let me switch arms. Oh, let me switch my list. There we go. So I finally, a year later, when these lifters show up, a year. So that's why there's no motor in this car, is because we're getting to this. Lifters show up. I'm like, yes! I can finally put these good lifters in here and stop listening to this. I mean, at high RPM, I always just ignored it. All the times I've been beating on this car and everything, it just, those lifters make so much noise at RPM, I'm just like, yeah. But my foot was heavier than the noise of the RPM, so I just kind of overpowered the noise. But pulled the intake manifold off, and when I got the intake manifold off, well, see, the heads are cleaned up now, but these are the heads that were on it. And I was looking down the intake runner, that runner right there, and I noticed that the top of the intake valve was just caked in burnt oil. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, are these valve guides that worn out, or are the valve stem seals leaking? I mean, but all 8 of them? And I'm like, crap, these heads are junk. So I call up Trick Flow and I sent them pictures and all that, and they were like, well, I mean, send them in, we'll fix them. I'm like, okay. So I get the cylinder heads off, and that's when I'm like, shit. All right, so you see this cross hatches in these cylinder walls right here? That's what it's supposed to look like. You see that mirror finish down there? That's not what it's supposed to look like. Yep. So for the, let's just call it 7,000 miles that I had that shitty fuel injection system on, I didn't even get to the point where the fuel injection failed. So yeah, I was getting ready to go to Willow, and the fuel injection system just took a shit. The ECU crapped out, it was just junk, wouldn't work no more. And so I'm like, all right, you know what, screw this, I'm done with it. I'm over the fuel injection, it's crap, it's garbage, and I'm going back to carburetor. Hey, it's me again, sitting here editing this same video. Lightning, it's me talking.
Anyways, I wanted to add a little note on this particular part here. The fuel injection system failed in my driveway. Now imagine if that fuel injection system failed when I'm in the middle of the country or buttfuck Egypt nowhere. So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? I can fix a carburetor with anything. If I need a gasket, I can rip up a piece of a shirt and make it to where the carburetor leaks a little bit, but it can get me where I need to go. So I can literally fix a carburetor and get where I need to go anywhere. And they sell parts for carburetors everywhere. The ECU failed on the fast fuel injection. Now, I can't get that anywhere at the drop of a hat. So, carburetor it is. So, I bolted a carburetor to it and it hasn't been, it's been beautiful ever since. I mean, this thing has run so good with carburetor. It actually was more drivable. It had more mid-range power. It has more top-end power with a smaller carburetor versus the 900 CFM throttle body that was on it. I mean, everything is a bonus. Okay, so there are some bads, like, okay, it doesn't have AC idle air kick up. It, you know, it doesn't have cold start. But screw that, I don't care. It ran better. I can suffer out the first 30 seconds of it, of modulating the throttle to make up for the entire time I'm driving it. Anyways, carburetor, win. Fuel injection, garbage. And I'm, okay, now, you EFI guys, you're gonna be like, oh, he just doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Now, multi-point fuel injection, or multi-port, whatever the fuck you wanna call it, that is good. Okay, that works really good. We can tune that really good because it's individual cylinders and you have more than one O2 sensor. Throttle body injection is garbage. Those intake manifolds are not designed to work with a carburetor. I mean, the fuel injection throttle bodies. They just don't work. They're garbage. Now, you can tune them to get them good, but they will never be great. And I don't care what anybody on the other side of the screen says. They can be good, but they will never be great. All right. So, back to the old engine. Yep. So the fuel injection and the throttle body injection system I had, which was part of the downfall, was, okay, I couldn't tune it. It was all self-learning. It was a complete self-learning system. Well, during the whole time the engine was breaking in, probably the first 1,000 miles, this thing ran freaking rich, man. I've had to do so, I mean, I tweaked with it and tweaked with it and tweaked with it, trying to get it better, but with the self-learning systems, you can only do so much. And during break-in, it was just terrible. But the fuel injection system, it ran so rich that it washed out the cylinder walls. So there's no cross hatches in the cylinder walls, and so it burned oil. In which I did know that I had to keep adding oil to the engine, but it didn't leak. So I knew it was burning oil, and I figured, okay, it's probably valve stem seals. But, all right, so I get the engine all torn apart, and look at this. So, this is the aftermarket Hemi oil pan. See that baffle down there? Well, see, this baffle is actually supposed to be right here. Well, at one point during my hot rodding, the baffle fell down because the spot welds are shit because it's Chinese garbage. All right. Yep, hey, look, speaking of China, here's these crappy Howard's lifters. All right. Oh, yeah. I would show you the timing chain, but I threw it away. But I did take a little clip, so I'll insert a little clip of the timing chain right here. Look at the freaking play in that. 8,000 miles. Yep, so that slinky dink that was here in that clip that you just saw, garbage. 8,000 miles, and it was freaking garbage. Had so much slack in it, and then the chain wasn't even nice and loose. It was kind of stiff. Like you would actually like squeeze it, and it would just kind of hold that shape. And so I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, well, how many more miles could that thing have gone? I mean, and that was a 440 source timing chain. 440 source timing chain. I want to say that was a 440 source oil pan, but I can't remember. But that was your aftermarket Hemi oil pan. Actually, I think I did get that from 440 source. Yeah, so the motor's all torn apart in a bazillion pieces right now because I'm gonna have to rehone it, get new piston rings, and then just reassemble this whole thing. And so there's nothing wrong with the trick flow cylinder heads. I don't think so anyways. But
So I'm just gonna, I got them cleaned up. I'm gonna bolt them back to the engine once I get it put back together. It's gonna have a good timing chain on it. And see, I already didn't want a Chinese timing chain. So when I ordered the 440 source stroker kit from that, for that motor, I asked him, I was like, hey, how's your timing chains? Are they good? I mean, I want to buy one good one and be done. He said, oh, we've sold thousands of them and we've never had a problem. Okay, you know how many times I've been told that now? It's garbage. So, where am I? Did I skip anything on my list? I think I got everything, didn't I? Let me see. Oh yeah, this is a Hellcat powered Super Bee I'm building right now. Oh, there it is, I see it. My dad's Chevelle's coming along nicely. See, we got lifted, washed out cylinder walls, oil pan, timing chain, alternator, Miska shift boot, blah blah. Okay. So, and I know this is kind of a boring, long, drawn-out video, but all I'm trying to do is just educate some of you guys in the aftermarket world that I have dealt with personally and what has failed. Now, there's a long list of little things. There's a lot of good things that work in the aftermarket world too, but I just want to talk about the stuff that has actually failed on the car. Technically, the PowerMaster alternators, and they didn't fail, or the tough stuff didn't fail. They just weren't as advertised. I'll just stick with that. So if you were going to have a fuel injected car with dual fans and extra fans and AC and all that crap, you need to get this doohickey right here. And if you are going to beat on your car and you're going to brake it hard, road race, all that crap, this crap right here that I've spent bunches of money on. Oh yeah, this one right here. Yep. Yep. Get better stuff. See, the problem is I'm running 15-inch wheels. Now, I know Willwood has good stuff. That race car out there on the trailer, that NASCAR right there, that's got Willwoods. And those are on 15-inch wheels. But that has equivalent brakes to what I had just installed on this. So the street car stuff they're selling doesn't work. And a lot of the aftermarket world is not tried and tested and proven to work. A lot of the OEM stuff is proven to work. They test it. They go through all the research and development to make sure this shit's gonna last. The aftermarket world, they just design it on a computer, hit print, call it a race part, and boom, you can sell it to people. I mean, that's... But, hey, I'm gullible too. I fell for it many times. So, patina is gonna be better than it was again. All right, Derek, I think I'm done with my rant. What do you think?
Yeah.
Was that enough bullshitting for one day?
Chinese.
Even Bolt's tired of it. He's like, come on, man, just quit this shit. Alrighty, guys. Well, that was just my aftermarket rant. And just to kind of fill you in on what patina has gone through, what I have gone through, what works, what don't. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I didn't tell you about what works, but I have told you about what don't. Alrighty, guys. Well, I've got many more videos, and actually, this is gonna be fun. I'm actually looking really forward to this. But, yep, that guy right there is my duct tape drags dragster. Yeah, I know it ain't built for drag racing. Doesn't mean I can't use it. Alright, guys. I'll see you later. Bolt! Bolt! Wanna say bye? Like, man, this video sucks. I don't want to be in this one, but fine, okay. Hey, Derek! Derek! You hungry?
Yeah.
You wanna go to Sonic?
Yeah.
Alright. I'm driving.